The movie begins in 1897, when the Indian troops were governed by the colonizing British government. On the border between British-held Indian Territory and Afghanistan lies the Gulistan Fort. In the fort, the brave Sikh regiment of the British Indian Army is posted. The protagonist of the film is Ishar Singh, a Havaldar of the regiment. One afternoon, Ishar and his fellow soldiers are patrolling the border when they hear a woman's cry. On the other side of the border, a group of Afghan tribesmen is about to kill a married woman because she refuses to accept her husband, who has been chosen by her family without her consent. They are led by a self-proclaimed prophet, Saidullah, who takes the responsibility to kill the poor woman. Ishar wants to intervene, but a higher British officer, Lawrence, orders him to stay put since the commotion is taking place on the other side of the border where their rules don't work. The woman is seconds away from being beheaded when her supposed husband is shot and killed. Ishar has defied direct orders from his superior to save her. He runs to the other side and continues killing everyone that comes forward to stop him. The Afghan woman is asked to run away, and anyone who tries to stop her is killed. Eventually, the men manage to catch Ishar and try to take off his turban to insult him. His fellow Sikhs follow his lead and attack the enemies when it comes to the pride they hold in their turban. In the end, the Afghans are defeated, and Saidullah is chased away, but Lieutenant Lawrence is enraged by the audacity of the Indian troops. He is extremely racist to anyone who isn't British and thinks all Indians are cowards. He writes a strong report informing his commanding officer of Ishar's disobedience. In the following scene, Ishar and his comrade Gulabo are chatting outside the fort when all of a sudden, someone shoots Gulabo on his shoulder. The enraged Afghan troops have attacked the fort because of what Ishar did yesterday. The Indian troop gets in the position, ready to fight. As a shootout ensues, Ishar climbs down the fort and into the enemy's territory. He then uses an explosive to attack them when they least expect it. Because of his smart strategy, the enemy has to retreat. The commanding officer praises him for his bravery, but cannot let him off the hook for disobeying an order. Hence, he is transferred to a neighboring fort, Saragarhi. No one wants to work in Saragarhi Fort because it lies between two bigger forts and is mostly used as a post office to transfer messages between them. No action ever happens in Saragarhi, hence only 21 soldiers, including Ishar, are assigned to it. Before he leaves for the posting, Lawrence calls Ishar and humiliates him, calling him a slave to the British government. Ishar is made to apologize, and his cowardice is blamed on the Indian soil. However, he refrains from talking back in order to not be reprimanded further. The next day, Ishar sets off for the new fort. On the way, the Afghan woman he saved approaches him. They do not understand each other's language, but Ishar figures out that she is thanking him for saving her life. He accepts a sweet dessert from her before continuing the journey. Upon reaching the fort, he is welcomed by Corporal Lal and his assistant, Gurmukh Singh. Ishar is shocked at how young Gurmukh is, as he is only 19 years old and knows more English than anyone else in the fort. Since Ishar arrived quicker than everyone else expected, he finds the rest of the troops watching two roosters fight. No one is in their uniforms or is following the rules a soldier must abide by. On seeing Ishar, they stand in a line, but fail to impress him. He berates the troop for being a shame to the entire Sikh community. As punishment, they are asked to wrestle each other, while the roosters watch them and are not allowed to stop until the animals say so. One of the soldiers inquires how a rooster will speak and is made to run around the fort for asking a stupid question. Ishar then keeps Lal to oversee the punishment. The soldiers wrestle for the rest of the day, while one of them continues making rounds of the fort. Hours later, Ishar finds them joking around and singing. When asked why they stopped, Lal claims that the roosters asked them to. They were making a noise that sounded like cook. Hence, the troop thought they were British roosters who wanted to be cooked, and did what the animals said. Ishar holds his laugh and punishes Lal for not doing his duty properly. He is asked to starve for the next week. His fellow soldiers take a stand and claim that they will also be punished alongside Lal, since he is their comrade. Ishar allows it and continues torturing the group for the next 2 days. During this time, we find out that all 20 of the soldiers have family back home who they are hoping to see soon. One man's father has worn the same shoes his whole life, so he is getting a pair of shoes ready to give to him as a gift. Another man is a father himself, whose wife just sent him a letter with the handprints of his month-old daughter. Similarly, there are people who have been oppressed because of their social class, and the ones who miss their mothers dearly. After 2 whole days of not eating anything, the soldiers start to complain. Ishar feels bad for them and allows them to end the punishment early. However, a soldier named Chanda retaliates, saying that they do not need pity from Ishar. He doesn't like Ishar and thinks he is a servant to the British. The cook named Dad reveals that Ishar also hasn't eaten for the past 2 days and asks the soldiers to decide what they want to do accordingly. When they ask Ishar why he punished himself for their mistake, he replies that he wouldn't dare to eat when his comrades are starving. He manages to win their hearts with the comment, and they feast together. In the meantime, Saidullah, the Afghani man who wanted to kill the woman earlier, arranges a meeting with the leaders of 3 Afghan tribes. Till now, they have been fighting against the British government on their own, but if they continue the battle as a team, they will have a higher chance to win. The tribe leaders agree and start devising an attack. They plan to take over all 3 forts on the same day, starting with the one with Ishar since it is the easiest to conquer. Saidullah predicts that they will take less than 2 hours to kill the 21 soldiers because their army consists of around 10,000 people. After defeating Ishar's troops, they will make their way toward the other 2 forts and conquer them as well. Somewhere else, Ishar is told that their informant from a nearby Afghan village has been missing for the past 2 weeks. Assuming that something is wrong, Ishar and Lal go to the said village to investigate. They find the village filled with women, children, and elders, but no young men. Moreover, the responsibility to build a mosque is also upon the elderly and women of the village. On returning to the fort that day, Ishar reveals that he wants to help the village build the mosque. Most soldiers are against it since their religion doesn't align with Islam. Still, Ishar goes on his own and starts helping the villagers. At midday, a kid is almost killed under a falling ceiling. Ishar saves him and is in turn saved by his comrades who have come to help. By the end of a few days, they complete the mosque, and an old woman feeds them 1 almond each. One of the soldiers keeps the almond as something valuable because it reminds him of his mother, and because, let's face it, that's not going to do shit for his hunger. In the following scene, the soldiers are in their posts when they get a message from the neighboring fort asking them to stay alert because the Afghan troop is planning to land an attack on them. Ishar looks at the faraway mountain through his monocular but sees no one. Just when they think it is a false alarm, the sound of war drums echoes in their ears. 1 man, followed by 100, then thousands, come into view. The crowd makes way for Saidullah, who has caught the woman Ishar once saved. To declare the initiation of war, Saidullah beheads her, and the crowd erupts into cheers. Then, Ishar receives a letter from his superiors through the lamppost. He gathers the soldiers and tells them that they have been ordered to retreat and run for their lives. A loud laugh interrupts Ishar, as the soldier famously known for never smiling bursts out in front of everyone. He and the rest of the soldiers think it is funny that the British believe the Sikhs will run away like cowards. Ishar understands their sentiment, but asks them to give it another thought because their death is confirmed if they choose to fight. Chanda, who never liked Ishar, thinks he is trying to shake their spirit and is afraid to get into the battlefield. As a reply, Ishar goes into a room and comes out wearing a saffron turban, symbolizing courage. He plays the war drum and kills the first enemy to start the battle. Everyone gets ready in their posts, except the 19-year-old Gurmukh, who seems confused. He asks Ishar why he lied to the troop, saying that the superiors wanted them to run away when the actual orders were to fight. Ishar reveals that by giving the soldiers a choice, it is proven that they are not cowards, like Lawrence once said. Then he orders the cook to serve water to everyone injured, even the enemies. The shootout begins and the sound of continuous gunshots follows. An explosive is thrown toward the Sikh soldiers, which causes a man to fall off the fort. Before he is killed, a comrade goes to his aid. They are being aimed at by the sharpest shooter of the enemy, hiding behind a stone. Before he gets to shoot them, Ishar arrives and does the same to him. When they reach inside safely, Ishar scolds Gurmukh for not shooting the man who threw the explosive. Gurmukh replies that he has never killed anyone and is scared of the enemy troop. Without wasting any more time, Ishar assigns him to the lamppost duty from where he has to continuously send updates to the other forts. When Ishar gets back to his spot, the enemy troops start to retreat. Saidullah and the tribe leaders come forward with a white flag, asking to talk to him. The leaders of both parties meet, and Ishar instantly recognizes Saidullah. He inquires if Saidullah is willing to put his life at risk, or is he just good at killing helpless women? While the tribe leaders are calm, Saidullah burns in rage, promising to step on Ishar's turban later that day. 2 Sikh soldiers hand over 2 Afghan prisoners who were arrested earlier. Ishar claims that they don't kill people who surrender. However, it turns out that the prisoners are bait. As soon as a cloth is removed from their faces, an explosion occurs that kills several Afghan soldiers. The fight continues, but by now, the rivals have reached the outer walls of the fort. Another soldier dies of a gunshot, while the Afghans start banging on the fort's door. 3 soldiers are sent to stop the door from being broken. Meanwhile, Ishar focuses on the sharpshooter who killed the soldier. He straps his monocle to the rifle to get a better aim and shoots the man dead with a single shot. Downstairs, the soldiers wait until the troops run out of bullets and land their attack. They manage to kill many, but more enemies keep on coming. Suddenly, a soldier named Bola is shot. During the last minute of his life, he says that he is happy because death makes everyone equal and he is no longer inferior to the upper castle. The others try to stop his bleeding, and a fellow soldier even offers his turban to put over the wound, but Bola dies in the end. Soon, they run out of bullets and think of another tactic to stop the rivals. They open the door, making it seem like they have given up, before attacking the troop outside. Even though they are a few fighting against 100, they display a great show of bravery and kill as many people as they can. With his last breath, Lal asks the only surviving soldier to run inside and close the door. He does as told, but is heavily injured. Before dying, he sits beside Bola's dead body and recites the joke that he used to hate. Outside, Lal dies while looking at the picture of his daughter's handprint. In the meantime, several dead bodies have piled up beneath the wall. The Afghans use the bodies and ropes to climb up the fort. The first few men are defeated, but then more start climbing and killing. Ultimately, the last comrade also dies when he pushes himself and a bunch of Afghans off the wall. He also detonates an explosive, killing many right before his death. Now, only Ishar, Gurmukh, and Chanda are left out of the 21 soldiers. Ishar orders them to stay upstairs in the lamppost while he fights the entire army on his own. The enemy finally gets into the fort and is welcomed by the leader. The first person to attack him is sliced through his stomach, which sends the others behind him into a frenzy. Ishar is surrounded, but he fights like a beast and stands in the battleground for several minutes against a horde of enemies. Suddenly, he stops when he sees the man he is about to kill is a young boy. Someone shoots him in the shoulder, which weakens him, but not his spirit. Chanda also joins him in the fight and is killed with several knives in his body. When Ishar has no weapons, he fights with stones, but is ultimately subsided. The boy who he didn't kill earlier is the one who stabs him last. Saidullah arrives inside the fort and kills the poor cook, even though he is feeding water to the Afghan troops. Then he tries to take off Ishar's turban. With all his remaining strength, he stabs Saidullah in the throat and kills him. It is about to get dark, and the other forts have probably called for backup by now. The soldiers were able to complete the mission even after their deaths. A tribe leader orders everyone to stay away from Ishar's turban, impressed by his bravery. He leaves, but the second leader still wishes to hear a Sikh cry in pain. They set fire to the lamppost, waiting for the only surviving member, Gurmukh, to cry. Instead, the brave teenager runs outside, shouting a war cry of the Sikhs. He then grabs the leader and triggers the grenades attached to his body, resulting in a huge explosion and the deaths of many. In the end, the surviving Afghans loot the fort and set it on fire. After that, the British Parliament honors the martyrs with the British Order of Merit, the highest award an Indian soldier could receive. 2 gurdwaras are built in the memory of the brave soldiers, which are still visited by many tourists every year. I've been complaining about a slow internet connection all week. This kind of story really helps put things in perspective. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.